So this is my Dr. Uiro and Dr. Kochan deck. So it's a control deck, allows you to control the field and whatnot. So let's go through the list real quick. 1 copy of the leader, 4 Frenzy Warrior Piccolo, 4 Gigantic Bomber Dr. Uiro, 4 Madness 1 Dr. Kochan, 4 Vegeta the Cruel, 4 Undying Spirit Son Gohan, 4 Bodyguard Logic, 4 Frozen Destruction Champa, 4 Hidden Power E Supreme Kai, 4 Objections, 4 Senzu Beans, 4 Wrathful Charge, 4 Shocking Death Ball, and then 2 copies of the Dr. Uiro's Lab. When you start the game and you play your leader, you get the first auto, which is to play Dr. Uiro's Lab from straight from your deck onto your battle area. So you automatically start off with this card in the beginning of the game. Its abilities are your first permanent is your battle cards can't be switched to rest mode by your opponent's card of skills. So that's really useful. And you can only use blue or green card skills to place cards onto this card. As you can see, this card is blue, so obviously this card's own active main ability will allow you to put cards under this card, obviously, among other cards in the deck. A second permanent is this card cannot be removed from a battle area by your opponent's card skills. You can remove it by a card effect, your opponent cannot. And as you can see, there's only 2 copies in the deck, because one you start off with 1 copy when you start the game, and then the other one's just mainly going to be blue energy or a backup copy that you can play hard cast if you just so happen to need it, but it's more likely just going to be energy. Of course, we have Objections and Senzu Bean to ramp up energy. You can use these 2 cards in combination with your leader, because you can see in order to awaken your leader, when you have 4 or more energy, you can awaken a leader, or if your life is 3 or less, you can awaken your leader, and you choose 2 cards to untap and to put into active mode and then flip this card over in order to awaken. So using Objections and Senzu Bean in combination to ramp up, so you have 4 energy so you can awaken sooner than later is awesome, having them options. So turn 2, you'll play an Objection to put a blue energy, then use Senzu Bean after you attack, more likely with like a Bodyguard Logic or attack with the leader, whatever is useful at the time, just so you can use Senzu Bean, and use Senzu Bean to untap the blue energy that you use for Senzu Bean plus another energy, so that way you have 2 energies, and then you can use those 2 energies to play another Objection to play another energy, so then you have 3 energies at that moment. 2 of them should at least be blue, the other 2 could be any color, but more likely 2 of them will be blue. And of course the 4th energy, if you want, it could be obviously a multicolor energy, so that way you can start using Vegeta the Cruel and Undying Spirit Son Gohan for just 2 costs. So there's that, but it's up to you how you wanna play, how you wanna do it, because you could always you could turn 1 play a one of the multicolored energies, and then next turn play a regular energy and then Objection, and go up from there, and still end up in a scenario where you have at least 1 multicolor, so that way these can cost 2 for those who like paying only 2, don't like to pay 3, right? So the fact that you under the right conditions, 2 Objections and 1 Senzu Bean can get you to 4 energy, and if you have another Senzu Bean, you can untap and play a 3rd Objection and then get to another energy, so you can get to 5 on turn 2. So possibility of getting to to 5 energy if you have 3 Objections and 2 Senzu Beans, and enough, and of course enough cards to you need 3 cards to play for each Objection, obviously. So that'd be 6, 7, 8. So you need at least 8 cards to go the distance. But it's not impossible, because if your opponent dealt you any dealt you damage, and you added cards to your hand and stuff like that from your life, you will have the cards for it. But as an example, on average, you're just going to probably just at least you'll be at 3 energy, just by playing 1 objection. But if you objection Senzu Bean and objection, you should be at 4. So that means at least on turn 2, turn 3 the latest, or the earliest, whichever way you want to. No, yeah, the latest. But turn 2 the earliest. So turn 2 you could potentially awaken by having the 4 energy, and then of course you can untap with Dr. Uiro, which is why you won't actually need the second Senzu Bean. You just will only need like 3 objections and 1 Senzu Bean actually, because I forget, once you get to the 4 energy, you'll just use the leader to awaken, and that will let you play a little objection. So it's just, you get the idea, is that you're going to use objection, Senzu Bean, and the leader, awaken, untapping 2 energy ability to, ramp up your energy, so you can have a lot of energy, right? Keep that energy up, right? Keep that same energy every time you play. And then of course you can utilize that energy for the active main ability of the Dr. Uiro's lab, because it's not a once per turn, so you can pay 2 energy, grab 4 or less battle card from your opponent's side of the field, play it onto this card, then you can do it again and again and again. As long as you can keep paying 2, you can keep doing it. So obviously, using Senzu Bean and tandem with, like, the leader's awakening ability and whatnot, you can obviously, grab a couple battle cards off your opponent's side of the field and put it under this card. So there is a combination there to be able to clear your opponent's board if they just so happen to go wide and have a lot of battle cards. But moving on, obviously this card is really good in so many ways. Even if you don't play this specific build, you just only play the leader and the lab, and that's it. You could just play whatever you want. You can play apes or veggies or whatever the hell you want to play. It doesn't really matter what you play per se, because if you think about it, ultimately what you really want is the lab most of all, because of the fact that you can pay 2 generic energy in general. So you can use this obviously in any deck, and just 2 energies, and then you can grab any 4 or less battle card that could be a prom, like in case your opponent has a Dende or a Mass Sand or a Deadly Defender or anything that's 4 or less that stays on the field and it constantly does something you don't like, right? Something that's a problem for you. This is a great card to inherently just have. Just by playing this leader, you automatically have this ability to get rid of any problematic card, so it automatically becomes anti-meta in that regards, because it doesn't matter what your opponent sides in to try to use it against your deck. If it's 4 or less, you can always take it away. Another thing is, since you're taking the battle card and putting under this card, that means they're not going to the drop area, which means you're preventing your opponent from adding up cards in their graveyard for sparking, for overwhelming, and for any cards that can bring stuff back, like familiar bombs or something like that. So this is great to get rid of anything you don't want to go into the drop area. So this is good drop area hate, as it were, reducing how many cards your opponent gets in the drop area. And then of course, to add to that, we do have some battle cards that have the ability to grab, like this one for example. When you play this card, choose up to 2 battle cards in your opponent's drop area and place those cards under this card or Dr. Uiro's lab in your battle area. Obviously, you're mainly going to use that under the lab, because the lab is going to be there, so there's no point in really putting it under here, because anytime this thing dies, and it does have revive, which is nice, you can always bring it back. When it dies, those battle cards will just go back to the drop area, which you don't want them there. So you rather use the ability to put it under the lab and tuck it away there until the end of the game. What's good about this Gigantic Bomber and Madness Wand Dr. Kochan is that they're blockers with revive, and I love the idea that revive is on blockers, because that's what I rather revive is blockers. Makes sense, because one, you pretty much guarantee they'll get KO'd, because you'll redirect attacks to them, because your opponent's more likely trying to attack your leader, so you redirect the attacks to them and then let them die, then revive, and you get their abilities more than once, because once you play them on your turn, you'll get their auto. Then when you revive them on your opponent's turn, you get their auto, so it's always good. This one lets you choose one card in your hand and place it under your lab in your battle area, and when you play this card, draw a card. So you give up a card from your hand to charge up your Dr. Uiro's lab, if you want to call it that, and then you replace that card that you charged. Keep it moving, keep that energy going, right? Let's see what else. Frenzy Warrior Piccolo, 20k deflect, so it's really good. Don't have to worry about it getting counterplay. Just play it, and you have a 20k you can attack with. Bond 3, don't know like what is the criteria for it. It's been a while. I don't really use Bond 3 bonds at all, so I don't remember if it was based off a keyword. If it is, well, I don't know if it has to do with Namekian or Frenzied Warrior. Like if I have to have 3 Frenzied Warrior in play or some shit like that. So that's irrelevant. It's the fact that it's a Frenzied Warrior, 20k with deflect. So it's at least it could be good energy, right? Good to charge it for energy. But the fact that the leader, second auto on the leader, is when this card attacks a leader card, look at up to 7 cards from the top of your deck and choose one Frenzy Warrior among them, and then add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So this is the way you can obviously use the leader to thin out your deck to search out Frenzy Warrior Piccolo. When you play the leader, of course, you're already taking out a copy of Dr. Uiro's lab from your deck, so you're already 1 card less in your 50 card deck once you start the game. And then once you attack with the leader, you take another card out your deck, so that's 2 cards out your deck. So then you have you go from 50 to 48, and then you're 8 life, so you're down to 40. Then the 6 cards you draw for you to play, then you're down to 30. That's it. Yeah, 40, take away 6, yeah, 30, 34. So you're kind of playing with like a 34 card deck after that. Yeah. And then what else? You got basic, obviously, 1 energy negates. You got your your double strike package, free play, which is also a blocker, but free play. You got your counters there, so, and extra attackers, but you got your counters there, so you can keep control, make sure the duel goes the way you want it to go. And yeah, not much else. Right here, again, gigantic bombers are really good. Graveyard hate card, especially, is really good against like Shenron and whatnot. Any deck that wants to put stuff in the drop area, this is good to help you get rid of those problematic cards. Because again, you rather put them under this card instead of the warp or the drop area, or back into their hand or deck or something like that, because they're always going to have some way of reusing those cards from whatever zone you put them in. But if you put them under this card, there's not many cards they can use to get shit back from this card. And let's see. Yeah, his awakened side, when he attacks, you draw a card. That's always good to have. Gotta have a draw engine, right? Because you want to keep your hands up for the revive ability, so you can keep using it over and over and over again. Active main, once per turn, choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. Choose up to 1 keyword skill on one of your opponent's battle cards and negate it for the duration of turn. If this works, because it says choose up to 1 keyword skill on one of your opponent's battle cards, not choose that battle card, this might be able to bypass barrier and then take away barrier from your opponent's battle card, so that way you can choose them with Dr. Uiro's lab ability and put it on here. So that right there might be deliberately made that way for synergy, to help you get rid of battle barriers. Because I was thinking like, oh, just play battle cards that have barrier, or at least 5, or at least cost 5 or more, so that way this card won't be a problem. But then when you read this, it's like, this might take away barrier, and if it does, well, then barrier won't protect you. So that's a problem. So the leader and this already is is already barrier hate, as it were. And yeah, of course, and the way and the win con comes from this leader. You know, when you have 17 or more cards in your under the lab, you win the game. So good amount of control in this deck. A good amount of, you know, anti-meta hate, anti-battle card hate, whatever you want to call it. It's a good build. It's not perfect. Obviously, Frenzy Warrior Piccolo is probably not necessary at all. When they come out with more cards, obviously this deck can be improved. But for now, this is it's a playable build. It's decent. I like it. The main thing that matters the most to me is obviously Dr. Uro's lab, doing objection, Senzu Bean combo, just so I can awaken early and then just start getting value, attack, draw, you know, start taking away keyword skills like blocker and stuff like that. You know, oh, you could, yeah, definitely get rid of indestructible. That's good. You know, the ability to get rid of you know, but more likely you won't even need to waste time doing that because you can just steal. Like, realistically, the only reason you will use this ability is to get rid of barrier, and then that's it, because this alone can get rid of any 4 cost or less battle card you need to get rid of. Like, if this ability was like not active main, but it was like active battle, then yeah, you know, you can, you know, active battle something, get rid of their double strike or critical, whatever. That would have been nice. But realistically, this is just going to get rid of barrier, and then you're just going to steal the battle card with this, and this is just going to inherently just be good. So this is the real MVP of the deck. It's just this. So many different builds you can do, because since you're mainly going to be like using energy for this and ramping up for energies for this, you can play all types of cards. Obviously, I'm going with a control / aggro type of build, just trying to win as fast as possible. But you know, if you want to go the victory route, hey, go at it. You know, have at it. Try to see if you can meet that criteria if you can, and that'll be the end of the video.